Introduce myself. This is Uday. I have close to 10 years of SAP consulting experience working with different companies in the market. So I am also a full-time consultant and a part-time freelance trainer. So I'll be taking the demo on SAP MM today for you all. So I understand English, Telugu, and Hindi. Any language you're comfortable, you can stop me and ask questions. Any questions? Any questions you can ask me at any given point in time. And we will have the demo in 3 phases. Phase 1, introduction to ERP and SAP. Phase 2, more about SAP MM. And phase 3, about what is your career path or any questions on the SAP career and all in the last phase. So this is the overall plan for today's demo. And any questions before I start the demo? Everything good then. Okay. So someone pinged me in the chat something. Yeah, I'm starting the demo. So everything good. Just give me 1 minute. I'll start the demo. Okay, team. So we will start with what is ERP. ERP is abbreviated as Enterprise Resource Planning. ERP is abbreviated as Enterprise Resource Planning. So ERPs are required for organizations to streamline the operations and maintain the business transactions. That means if you see any small companies, any small grocery store, supermarket, all the transactions they have, like your what we say, how much stock is sold, how much stock is brought in, kept in stock, what is the stock you have, how much salaries are given to employees. All these business transactions will be done on a piece of paper. They will write in GL books, right? But when you talk about very big companies where like Tata Motors or Reliance, any companies where they have lots of departments like production, procurement, finance, warehouse, sales, right? So these all departments have thousands of transactions every day. So those all transactions needs to be maintained in as a bookkeeping system, which cannot be done on a piece of paper. So these big companies to operate daily activities, they need the specialized tools called ERP tools. And there are a lot of ERP tools available in the market, out of which Microsoft Dynamics, Infor, Oracle, SAP, and so on, there are there. So remember, big companies to run their companies and maintain all the business transactions, they need the ERP tools. Or there are a lot of ERP tools available in the market, but out of them, SAP is the market leader. Why SAP is the market leader? Because of the integration SAP offers. That means your production to warehouse, your procurement to warehouse, your sales to procurement, your finance to procurement. Every department is interconnected. So the data flow will be easily flown through different departments of your company, because of which SAP is the market leader, which no other software is easily offering in the market. So SAP is abbreviated as Systems, Applications, and Products in Data Processing. SAP was invented in 1972 by 5 ex-IBM employees. So it has been 50 years of a journey for SAP in the market. So last but not the least, SAP is never called as SAP. It's always called as SAP only. Because SAP in German means pig, so we always call it as SAP. This is the brief introduction between ERP and SAP. With this, I will give a pause here. Any questions? Any doubts? Anyone? Everybody able to follow? Any questions? Please unmute yourself and don't hesitate to ask, guys. Okay? All right. So after ERP, we are going to talk about SAP, more about SAP. What is SAP consisting of? SAP has always been a module-centric software. So the broad classification of modules are functional and technical. So the functional modules are the modules where there would be no coding at all. Functional modules are the modules where there would be no coding at all. So what happens in functional module? You will be either in a project as a implementation consultant or a support project. You will be either in a support project or an implementation project. In the implementation project, you will configure the SAP system for the client. Whereas in a support project, you will solve the issues what end users will get. I repeat, in an implementation project, you will configure the SAP system for the client. If it is a support project, you will solve the issues for the end users. So as a functional consultant, you can work on any of the modules, but for based on the evaluation criteria, a lot of the counselors and all will bring you to the demo. So where if we talk about the demos, you see SAP MM stands for materials management, and SAP MM talks about sourcing, procurement, and inventory part of a company. SAP MM talks about sourcing, procurement, and inventory part of a company. So SAP FICO for finance and controlling, SD sales and distribution, PP production planning, and so on, the modules will go. So learning one module is good enough. You cannot learn those many modules at once also. So that's why I would say we are going to talk about more about SAP MM, which talks about sourcing, procurement, and inventory part of a company. Basically the logistics and the supply chain part. But since you see all the functional modules, no coding, but there would be technical modules where they will be working with code. So basis will be like the admin job, setting up the system, giving the access to the people and all like that. ABAP is where any custom coding requirement comes, ABAP consultants will write the code. This is the overall architecture of modules in SAP. Any questions, any doubts, anyone so far? Everyone good, right? Chandu, Kasi, Prashant, and all? All right. So now we see all the modules that runs on SAP that are there in SAP will be running on both ECC and S4 as a version. So ECC and S4 HANA are the two versions of SAP we have, where the S4 is the latest version in the market, and whatever the version you are good with, we will like you are ready to learn with, we will teach that. Okay, but SAP ECC is mandatory because the existing version, and S4 is the latest version we will teach as well. So this is the, but remember all the modules that you are seeing will work on both ECC and S4. So not a problem. So if we are good, we will move on to the next thing about SAP MM. Like it starts with procurement cycle, we will deal. I will wait here for a second. Any questions, any doubts, any one of you have till now, you can ask. Are you able to follow me, guys? Any questions? Any doubts? No? All right. So now we start with what is there in SAP MM, where you see it starts with a procurement cycle like requirement determination. What do you want to buy? You want to buy a raw material for your company, or a service for your company, or an asset for your company, right? If you want to buy, where do you want to buy from? So you know a vendor, or you have a contract with any vendor, or you go to bidding, right? So what do you want to do? Then if you know what to buy and where to buy from, then the next question is you will order the stock to the vendor. So a purchase order is created and sent to the vendor. So the purchase order is basically a formal document that boss, I want so and so material at so and so quantity at so and so price on so and so date at so and so location. Can you please deliver it to me? So we order the purchase order to the vendor, and that particular purchase order we send to the vendor. He will send the goods to us. Like, okay, we ordered some material. He will send the materials to our plant. We will do that plant like goods receipt in SAP once we receive the stock, that okay, for so and so purchase order we created, so and so goods we will receive. And he will send a bill. Boss, you purchased this much, I send you this much, so now you pay me this much. That bill we will accept, invoice, so the finance will do the payment. This is the basic simple procurement cycle we start SAP MM with. This procurement cycle is standard everywhere, but you have different procurement types to deal with. You have different procurement types because the logistics is a very broader chain where you see standard, subcontracting, consignment, STO, third party, individual, contracts, scheduling agreements, frameworks, right? So these many processes you have, it's our responsibility to teach you because you as a consultant will grow when we teach all the configuration aspects in SAP. So that's where I will go and teach all the concepts when you enroll. But for today, I will give a sample scenario like how the process happens in SAP as a software. So before I proceed with system demo, any questions in what you have learned so far, guys? Any doubts? Everybody able to understand, right? Any questions? Anything you did not understand? Okay. So now if you see, there is like a simple procurement cycle where you want to procure some material, you receive the goods, you take the bill, you do the payment. So this particular process, what you have, if you want to do, how will you understand? How will SAP understand? There is a term called transaction code. So purchase order is a business transaction. Goods receipt is a business transaction. Invoice is a business transaction. So each transaction will have a transaction code associated with it. So the transaction codes will be same, be it in a project or training or testing or interviews, everywhere the T codes are same transaction codes. You cannot change them. You have to follow them only. So if you see ME21N is the transaction code to create purchase order. Everywhere in the world you go in SAP, that's the same. So when you enroll for the course, we will given a system access of this kind. Okay. So where you can log in and practice regularly. So without any restrictions. And if you see the transaction code, I give ME21N and click enter. The screen that opens is create purchase order. So from what vendor, what material, at what quantity, at what date we need, at what price we are buying, in what plan. This is how we create a purchase order. And if you go to MIGO, MIGO is to receive the goods. MIGO is to do the goods receipt for purchase order. Whatever the purchase order you ordered, for that we will receive the goods. The same way, if I go to MIRO, invoice. So invoice for purchase order. Automatic payment transactions. You see payment. So like that, create purchase order, goods receipt, invoice, payment, everything happens with the transaction codes. The first thing is you need to know the transaction codes. Every cycle I will teach you. Don't worry. Okay. And as a consultant, most importantly, what are the prerequisites and configurations you need to do? For example, if I say purchase order should be created, I give this vendor. Okay. You see the material, quantity, TA0 plant. You see, how did I give this vendor? How did I give the numbers? Because I have created the prerequisites, I know. So that's how what to be created and how the setup should be done. Right? You see, this is my purchase order, Tata Motors, company Tata Motors, plant this address in Hyderabad. So these all setups, how to do for every cycle will be taught by me individually as a prerequisite for every concept. And how are we going to do that? I'll tell you. So basically, you will have a course content of this kind, which we will start and working on a day-to-day basis. We will start from the very basics of SAP. We assume that you don't know anything in SAP. We start with the very basic modules, partners, ecosystems, and how the versions of SAP you have, and basically how do you log into SAP and how do you set up SAP and how do you navigate to SAP? How do you give the transaction codes? How do you proceed, right? Because you are new to SAP. Basic classes will be like how, what is SAP and about SAP. And then one purchase order cycle, basics. Then what are the configurations required to do that? Definition, assignment, material master, then vendor master, how to create, and then what are the configurations, master data configurations, then RFQs, contracts, scheduling agreements, then configurations. So like that, step by step, all the cycles will be taken. But how will I take? Every class we will take, right, will be live recorded. Every class will be live recorded. Whatever the class we take, all the concepts will be explained in a streamlined manner. So for example, if you take every class, it starts with a doubts clearing session. Every day is the same. And if no one says any question, then only we start, and no one says any question, then only we will end. Okay. And every class I will give the running notes. Every class. Not even this or that. Every class starts with live recording only. And live recording will be done every day after your consent. And every class starts on time and ends on time. Okay. So I ask multiple times. If no one says any question, then only I start the class. So the same way, if it's 1 hour class means 1 hour almost it goes. Right? So, and I start the class. If you see 10:30 the class started, 10:30 it will start. The same way. And live recording notes will be given every day. And along with it, practice tracker, because you step by step, you have to practice, right? How do you practice? That helps. For that, live record, practice trackers will also be given to you. Okay, the practice values the practice trackers also will be given so that you can use and practice very well. That's the concept. Same story everywhere, every class. All the live notes you need not to write. Practice tracker, recording, everything would be given, and I will explain all the concepts very patiently. Any questions you have, anyone can without hesitation ask me. And so on top of it, what happened? Where is this? Real-time concepts would also be discussed. Okay. So where is this real time? Where happened? SAP. So if you go, all the real-time concepts would be discussed as well, like for the job openings and all important topics, notes, job specific questions, both implementation and support projects. Okay. At the end, I will take the classes for both implementation and support projects also. So if anyone wants to keep some experience and go into the market, you will have the implementation and support as well. And I will discuss and give the support tickets also. Okay. How the issues will come, how do you give the resolution? You see, issue, description, resolution, issue, description, resolution. So how do you do all these things? I will give the examples and notes also to you. All these documents also will be given to you. And you see all the pricing procedure notes, real-time questions, running notes, consultant and user roles, SAP implementation processes, right? And IDOC informations, then this whole set of data, all these documents, all the T codes tables required for you to practice, all the MM interview questions with answers, all the T codes, processes, documents, this, you see, all this will be given to you so that you can practice well. So you see, any document you want me to open, I can show. So all this will be given to you. Okay. This will help you to practice. And at the end, right, after all the topics are done and all the real-time topics are also discussed, I will give the interview preparation as well. interview preparation and topics, real-time questions, how they come up, right? On all the topics, and this notes Excel also will be given to you. And including the final help I will do you is with resumes. I have lot of sample resumes. You want a fresher resume or you want an experienced resume, core plus IT, domain plus IT, implementation and support projects, anything on I teach, I'll give the samples. You can take it and you can practice and go into the market. So for all of them, I will give my full support. Anytime you have a questions, you can ping me. We'll have a WhatsApp group and we will solve the issues. Okay, this sort of real-time training help will be given. And most importantly, remember the unique selling proposition of our training is I'll take the end-to-end care. I'll have the live recording of every class. You'll have a lifetime access. You'll have the running notes. Okay. You'll have the running notes on every day, every topic. And you'll have the real-time classes running on all the topics, incidents, issues, and implementation projects. And the resumes also will be given so that you can go into the market with interview questions also. And the documents anyways, which will be required for you to prepare. So with this, I'm done with the demo. Any questions any one of you have, feel free to ask. Chandu, Kasi, Prashant, any questions you have, you can ask.
Sir, this is Prashant. Hello.
Yeah, Prashant.
Very good evening, sir.
Sorry?
Very good evening, sir.
Yep, good evening. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I have the work from 1.5 year end user, sir, SAP MM.
Mm-hmm.
And I have completed SAP MM ECC version, sir, not S4 HANA.
Okay.
Already have completed total topic SAP MM ECC module, ECC version completed.
Okay.
So what is the difference of ECC and S4 HANA? Actually, previous time, pin to pin, I will listen this class. So difference between what is ECC and S4 HANA, different or both are same, sir?
They are different. So if you talk about ECC S4 HANA differences, there are 35% of the differences we have from ECC to S4. So those S4 HANA differences with real time, the real time for S4 HANA will get different. So those topics would also be covered. So if you see ECC for S4 HANA, who like people like you who has done ECC and wants to join for S4, right? So separate classes will be taken where you see differences between ECC and S4 HANA, evolution, architecture, differences between the cloud and on-premise versions, and then what are the latest things SAP has given in S4, including the implementation methodologies. What are the changes in master data? What are the Fury apps and process that S4 has got up? Demo of every app that will be required for you to do in S4 HANA implementation. Okay. Table changes, T-code changes, analytics capabilities. You know, release strategy, right? There is something called flexible workflow. How is that done for all the objects? And you know, output management, NACE. So BRF plus how it is done, and rise of requirements, custom developments, how it is done. So this kind of end-to-end, including S4 HANA implementations and support will be taken care for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Has a total difference, sir. ECC is navigation is also so different. Right?
Correct. You don't use, end users will not use any T codes in S4 HANA. They'll use Fury only.
Yes, sir. So ECC also using configuration settings and same but different within S4 HANA.
Correct. So what are those changes we will cover in S4 HANA?
Yes, sir. S4 HANA is the updated version. ECC
exactly.
is the 2-3 years back version.
No, ECC is there from 1990s itself. S4 HANA came in only in 2015. So S4 HANA is the very latest version what we have.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my question, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Prashant. Any other questions? Chandu, Kasi? Chandu and Kasi, any questions from your side? You're able to follow? You need any inputs from my end? Not able to hear you, Chandu, if you're speaking.
Sir, I just one forget, sir. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Prashant.
Sir, LSMW legal system
It's an older one,
migrated.
LSMW. The latest one we have
Yes,
in is
sir.
LTMC, which we'll be teaching.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? Team? Chandu, Kasi, Prashant? No? All right. If no questions or someone had helping in the chat. Yes, it will cover both. When you enroll for both ECC and S4, we will cover both, Chandu. Yes, yes. If you enroll for S4 HANA, we'll cover both ECC and S4. Any other questions? Anyone? Don't hesitate, guys. Feel free to ask me. I'll be able to. I'll be always happy to answer questions. So remember, I'll be taking the classes with I'll only be taking, and all the classes we'll be taking in English. And any questions you have, you can ask me. Don't hesitate. And all the topics you'll get a live recordings, running notes and documents, interview questions, resume preparation help, everything you see. I'm not faking anything. You see everything on my screen. I provide to my students as well. So that's what you can see for everyone. Everything is the same that comes. So if you see my Gmail also, it's all the same. I can show you. So where you see, I give my students the sample resumes, fresher resume, practice tracker. This is the running notes of a class. You see, this guy asked to go through his biodata. I have suggested docs required. So right. So this is already being done. I'm not faking over a day or two, right? So this support will be there for you. Okay. So don't hesitate. Don't worry on that. All right. I think demo, yes, recording will be given. Not a worry.